What is good? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a super clean taper and trim up top with a nice style. My name is Dre Clipper Hands. I've been a barber for going on about 10 years. And today I'm going to show you guys how I do this haircut with 10 years of experience. So I'm starting off by dampening my client's hair. Now the reason you want to dampen your client's hair is because when doing scissor work or sectioning, it's easier to work with the hair and mold it. So as you can see, I'm seeing where it naturally wants to split along the parietal ridge. And then I'm going to separate the top from the sides and only focus on the sides. So nice clean sections. Boom, boom, boom. Now we'll clip that up. Now I'm going to come to the other side and do the same thing. And as you can see, I combed it forward and I could already tell where the hair naturally wanted to split in the corner. And then I'm just going all the way back to the crown. And we're going to keep majority of the hair on the sides towards the top. We're going to clean up around the ear with the taper. So that's why we're going to go ahead and focus on the sides first. So now we went ahead and pinned that up. And now it's just a little less overwhelming. We can get straight into the haircut without worrying about the top being in the way. So we have our 2-guard here, and what I'm doing is just debulking the areas where I'm going to be doing the taper, just because it's been pretty long since he's gotten a haircut. So I want to make sure in the areas that I'm working in, I have a nice clean canvas to work with. Now I'm doing the same thing on the other side, and I'm being sure with this 2-guard, I don't want to take it up too high. I prefer not taking it up high enough and then coming in with my 2-guard again later. The goal here is just to debulk. We don't want to take it all the way up. We just want to clear some space for our trimmer and our clipper to work in. And now we're going to begin our taper on his left side. So I'm using my trimmer to establish the bald line at the end of the ear and where the eyebrow kind of ends, giving it that round shape, that burst shape. And what this is going to help do is keep the edges dark of the taper. Now we're going to come to the other side and do the same thing. And I like to have reference points when establishing my guidelines, because what that's going to give you is consistency, because you can apply that to every single haircut. And as well as you can do the same exact thing the next time the client comes in. So if you're scared of taking that bald line up higher than you did last time, if you have reference points to help you keep track of the height of your fade, it'll make it a lot easier, which is why I reference, where the ear connects to the head and the end of the eyebrow. And now for the neck taper, we're establishing this line a little below the bottom of the ear. Now, if this was a low taper, I would keep it even lower, but this is going to be a mid taper, so I'm not scared to go up some distance. And now we're going to follow it up with our shaver just to get it closer to the skin and really make that taper last longer. And I established all my bald lines first, just to be a little more efficient. I had the trimmer in my hands, so that way, after this point, all I really have to use outside of when I get to the lineup is the clipper on everything. So we're cleaning it up with our shaver here. And now we're going to get into our taper. So we're going to start off this taper by going up about 1/4 inch above that bald line with our lever all the way open. And as you can see, I'm maintaining that burst shape, that round shape. And I'm utilizing a lot of the corner of the blade just because I'm working in a small area. Now I'll go ahead and close that lever. And as I move up within this guideline, I'll open up the lever little by little. Now for our next step, we're going to grab our 1-guard open and we're going to go up that same distance, following that same system and that same process. And if you're enjoying this tutorial so far, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But as well, if you want more in-depth education just like this, Which you might be thinking, man, this Dre's YouTube is pretty informational. Well, my online academy, my online coaching program for barbers goes even more in depth. So if you go ahead and tap the link in my description, I have an online program where I teach barbers the systems of cutting that I use, obviously haircut stepwise as well as service wise, in order to have a consistent service and haircut every single time. So if you want more in-depth education, join Dre Clipper Hands Academy. You can tap the link in the bio, and I hope to see you in the community. So far, I've had about over 180 people enroll in my online course, and you're just gonna put yourself in an environment of barbers who are ready to grow, who are ready to elevate and take their haircutting skills to a whole nother level, because barbering can be very life-changing, right? It can put you in rooms and give you opportunities that you would not be able to access otherwise. So if you want to learn and surround yourself around people who use barbering to get them to where they want to be, Dre Clipper Hands Academy is where you want to be. So again, click the link in the description, and I hope you enroll today so I can see you in the community. But back to the haircut, we're kind of finishing off the taper here with our half guard, coming in open using the corners, and it's coming together very nicely. And now to blend into the length there on the sides, because again, we want to keep that length he liked when it was able to get fluffed out on an everyday basis. So we're trying to keep as much as possible. But to blend into that length, what I'm going to do is some clipper over comb. And I could use my guards all the way up in order to blend into the sides, but just to be a little more efficient, I think it's beneficial to no clipper over comb, because all you're going to do is just give yourself the ability to use the comb for everything above a 2, right? And it saves a lot of time. It's more efficient, and you can be a little more detailed. So you see I debulk behind the ear a little bit. It's going to allow us to get a nice clean line when it's time to line up his nape. And now we'll use our thinning shears just to soften everything up and make that transition a little cleaner. So you'll see I'm coming in and flaring out with my comb. And I like to use thinning shears because what this does is maintain the darkness that we want, while at the same time getting rid of those weight lines that we don't want. Because with the scissors, you have the chance to cut off a little too much, create a light spot, and then you have to, blend all over again. But with thinning shears, it makes it a lot easier to blend into some of those, longer pieces of hair that we want. Now we're doing a little more clipper over comb, and that taper is looking super clean. And now what I like to do to frame everything out before moving on is I want to go ahead and line up his arch. So I'm starting at the top of the arch and then going to the bottom and connecting those 2 points in the middle, and that's going to give me that nice arch shape without pushing it back. As well as I'm going to go ahead and line up around the nape area. So I'm starting at the top of the ear, making sure that I'm keeping that as natural as possible. And then I'll work my way down towards the bottom of his neck. And I like to do this because since I did the side taper, the lineup is going to bring out any imperfections that I need to detail. And then once I do the other side taper and line it up like this as well, I can go ahead and do the taper on the neck. And it makes it slightly easier to get the taper consistent on the back of the neck when you already have the nape area lined up. Or at least for me, because I know a lot of times I used to do the neck taper and it would look good, but then I went to go put a line on the nape and I didn't really leave enough hair towards where the line is in order for that to look nice and sharp. So lining it up first helps me taper in the exact areas that I need to. So now we're going to go to the other side and follow that same exact system of tapering. So lever open, then we'll get rid of the line in between, and then we'll move on to our one guard open. But if you guys been following me for a while, I hope you checked out my last post where I show you guys the power of posting content online, whether it be YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, but specifically YouTube. I shared with you exactly how much I made off YouTube last year in my last video. I'm gonna give you tips, tricks, and techniques that you can apply to your online content in order to replicate that in a way. Because I think a lot of times when we think about posting content, we only think about, oh man, I'm trying to build a following, I'm trying to build a platform. But realistically, what you're doing is putting yourself in a position to have so many more opportunities, right? Because not only when you post content online do you build trust with people who continually come back, and then you can drop a digital product and sell it and make money, but you also build trust enough with people that, you know, people will book you for classes, right? Things that will add to your barbering career come from posting online content. It's not about getting likes, it's not about getting followers, not about getting comments. It's really just about building a community and positioning yourself in a way to, you know, get the most success out of barbering. Because at the end of the day, you know, you can only do so many haircuts in a day, you can only charge so much, so you're gonna hit a ceiling with how much you can make from barbering. But when you post content online, you add another source of income through barbering, which is powerful because you don't have to go to another industry, you don't have to do another thing. You can literally put a camera in front of what you do, record it, and make money from it, right? But for a little more context, go to my last YouTube video where I teach you all about it. Hopefully it gives you guys inspiration to go ahead and start posting on YouTube and on social media and really see the power and the benefits of doing so. Because at the end of the day, a lot of you guys watching this video wouldn't know me if it wasn't for me posting content online or posting tutorials on YouTube. You wouldn't know who Dre was. Dre would just be a barber from Ohio who cuts hair, right? And not much more than that. But if you're satisfied with that, that's okay. But I'm just showing you, you have access to me, you know me, because I post online content. And hopefully you're finding this content valuable. And if you are, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and drop a comment down below. It really helps your boy out on his channel as well. So as you can see, we're using our thinning shears to go ahead and blend into that weight just a little bit. And then I'm going to frame everything out and get into the neck taper. So again, when lining up the arch and around the ear, we want to keep it as natural as we can, while at the same time trying to get it as sharp as we can. Because a lot of barbers tend to push that area behind the ear up way too high, trying to get it nice and round. But you want to make sure that you just get it, you know, clean, but don't push that high because it looks crazy and it grows back even crazier. And you can already see by how his neck taper is looking, or his neck hair is looking, that's going to be pretty difficult to taper his hair just because of all the growth directions that it grows in. But we're going to go ahead and get him right, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. So we went ahead and framed out the back. Now we're going to go ahead and frame out his side taper here in a few moments. So I'm starting at the top of the arch, going to the bottom and connecting it in the middle. Right, those reference points that I talked about, that brings on consistency and the ability to give out the same haircut every time the client comes in. So now for the neck taper, we're following the same exact process and system. We're coming in with that lever open. Then for the line in between, we're going to close it and open that up little by little. And this taper is going to come together very nicely. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this POV tutorial. It's kind of the perspective of myself. Obviously this is mounted on my chest and not my eyes, so it's a little different. But if you guys are enjoying this perspective, let me know down in the comments if I should keep dropping it from this point of view. And yeah, let me know. I don't know if you guys noticed, I had to switch clippers in the middle of the haircut because my magic clips died. Your boy's putting in work. This is about my 10th haircut of the day. I believe this is my last one. It's my 11th. So them clippers was dead. Now we have our one guard open and we're going up about 1/4 inch above that. Don't be scared when you're tapering or fading to cover some distance, right? Because what makes that blend look super clean is when it's gradual. So if you make those guidelines too thin, you're gonna make that blend super condensed, right? And it might look good close, but when you step away from a farther distance, it'll look like a line, right? So if you want a nice gradient blend, be sure to make your guidelines a good width. Now we have our 2 guard open here, and we're coming in and flicking out as we get towards the top. And now we grabbed our 1.5 with the lever open right below that 2 guard open. And I'll come in open, and if it open isn't doing the job, you'll see me close that lever as I just did. And we're going to start blending down. But again, if you guys are interested in Dre Clipper Hands Academy, where you have access to me and you have the ability to ask me questions, as well as go more in depth in your haircut education, Dre Clipper Hands Academy, link in the description. It's an investment, but it's an investment worth making, right? Because I know for me, I've invested in a few mentorships and courses in my life. And granted, some people make some really bad courses, but some people make some really good courses. And the thing is, I believe you can get value from each and every one, right? You can either learn what not to do, or you can learn what to do. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know what you can learn until you take that step to invest. So if you choose to take that step to invest in Dre Clipper Hands Academy, my goal is to provide you with as much value as possible. You know what I'm saying? So again, link in the description. I hope to see you in there. Now we're finishing off this taper with our 1/2 guard open, and we'll close that little by little as needed. And now, just like we did with the side taper, we're going to do some clipper over comb in order to blend into that length on the sides. So you'll see I'm using that comb as a guard. And that comb flat against the head is equivalent to a 1. I think that's a good gauge for you guys to know when doing that. So if you have the lever open and the wall comb against the head, that is equivalent to a 1 guard. So right where we left off, I'm putting my comb against it, and I'm coming in with my lever open and flicking at those hairs sticking out. And step by step, little by little, this taper is coming together. Like I said, his neck taper, especially on that right side, grows in a lot of different directions. So we have to put a little more attention to detail there. And now with this, we're going to take that choppy clipper over comb, and we're going to soften it up with our thinning shears. So same idea, coming in with the comb, flaring out, and then we're using our thinning shears to break up those weighty areas and soften everything up. You can already see it's blending in very nicely. Taper is looking clean. And now we're going to get into trimming the top. So I already dampened my client's hair and took the clips out. But now what I'm going to do is establish my length in the fringe using my feather razor. So I'm combing it forward and everything in the front. He wants a little above the eyebrow. So I'm deciding that length. And then with my feather razor, I'm going to kind of flick at it. This is kind of my fourth time using this feather razor. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But it just gives it a softer look towards the front, as opposed to using your scissors and bluntly cutting across. So this feather razor will kind of cut it textured, right, and make it look a little more natural and not so Edgarish. And now we're coming to the other side and doing the same thing, so you can see that length difference. And the thing is, with the feather razor, as opposed to cutting what's sticking out from below your fingers, you're cutting everything above your fingers, and then the hair coming off is going to be right in between your fingers, essentially. And now, since we established the length in the front, we're going to use that as our guideline for the rest. So starting in the front, I'm going to come straight down the middle, taking little sections as I move back. and we're taking off about 1/4 inch all the way around. So as you can see, we're coming down the middle, and then we'll work our way towards his right and then his left. And every time I pull up with my scissors, I'm being sure to see that I can tell where my guideline's at, right? Because I want to make sure that I'm not causing any unevenness and that I'm giving my client a nice even trim. So there's my guideline on the inside of my finger, and I'm bringing everything to that length. And now we're going to work towards his left side to finish off this trim. Super simple, super easy, not too complicated. And you'll see as I get towards the parietal ridge, I'm not rounding my finger. I'm being sure to keep it square because I want this haircut to maintain that square shape with the weight along the ridge. And now after we do our trim, we're going to add some sea salt spray for some texture. So we're working that in the hair. We're not using a lot. And now we're going to use our blow dryer with no nozzle, just in order to blast the hair and get it as dry as possible. Since this is going to be textured, it doesn't have to be super styled, right? So we're blasting the hair with no nozzle on a medium heat. And after we get everything nice and dry, we're going to go ahead and add some texturizing powder from Tune 45. And I like to use texturizing powder because it gives the clients that volume that they like without a product that looks super wet. Because a lot of clients like their hair to look, you know, dry and not all pomadey. So the texturizing powder definitely helps. But as you can see, we got my man together with a nice taper and texture. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button. And check out Dre Clipper Hands Academy. Link is in bio. I will catch y'all next time. Peace.